Hello, everyone. Hello, and welcome to Sword and Tea, a TTRPG chat show here on Sword and Key, where we sit and chat with game designers, game creators, game writers, artists, musicians, all sorts of people that make TTRPGs and the TTRPG community as wonderful as they are. I am joined today by Nada to discuss Eighth Day of the Week, a very fun game that I think will bring a lot of joy to you and your table. Before we jump into that, I do want to say this is a Sword and Key stream. You can find all of Sword and Key stuff at beacons.ai/Sword and Key. You can find all of our links in one neat, nice place, all there listed on Beacons. You can see our socials right up at the top. It's Instagram and Blue Sky. It's also our Discord. I highly recommend checking out all of those right now for a very specific reason. We have an application out that is open for less than 12 hours now. In fact, I think we're down to probably something around like 6 hours at this point. That is for a game of Invisible Sun. It's a long-term campaign that is being run by Mare, Archmage of Dice, on Blue Sky. If you've never played Invisible Sun before, it is a game from Monte Cook Games. It is the epitome of weird and surreal. It's very, very fun, and there's only a little bit of time left to apply to play in a long-term campaign right here on Sword and Key. So don't wait. Do yourself a favor, apply to play in that, and just in case, there's always a checkbox at the bottom that says, would you like to play in additional games here on Sword and Key? But regardless, we'd love to see your name on those applications. Just go down more on our beacons. You can see some links to some charitable organizations that we're in support of. We have some year-round ones as well as some specific ones. So if you're looking to put your money towards a great cause, there's some options there. We also, if you're looking to save a little bit of money for yourself, for some gifts for yourself or others, we have some discount codes with our affiliates. We have 3 wonderful affiliates with Eldritch Foundry. They make custom minis for your TTRPG games. No matter how weird and wild, normal and mild your TTRPG character might be, you can make a mini of them and use code Sword and Key for 10% off your first purchase. If you are a 3D printing inclined individual, there is also a special deal with our affiliate link, which you can also find on Beacons. That will get you 3 months of unlimited STL files, custom STL files for $19.99. It's a pretty good deal from Eldritch Foundry. We also have an affiliate with Long Dog Dice. Jen with Long Dog Dice makes incredible dice sets. They're gorgeous. They're wonderful. There are some custom dice sets from our Horizons Call game, which we'll be playing later today, not only just for the game itself, but also for all the specific characters that you can pre-order at any time. If that is not your perfect dice set, I totally get it. There are plenty of others available there, but regardless of what you get, you can use code Sword and Key for 10% off your first purchase there. And we're also affiliates with Hit Point Press. We have an affiliate link if you're going to be purchasing any of their amazing products like the Greven Saddlebag books or the animated spell cards or the Fable Maker's deck or a little plush of little Owlin from Humblewood. There's tons of stuff with Humblewood, or not just Humblewood, with Hit Point Press. So check out our affiliate link if you're going to be purchasing from them. I'll talk about more of our stuff on Beacons here at the end, but that is all the Sword and Key stuff's not what we're here to talk about. We're here to talk to Nada. So Nada, thank you so much for joining us. It's great to chat with you.
Hello, thank you so much for inviting me on this lovely 8th day, as we noted just now.
It is an 8th day of the week. Absolutely. I really appreciated you reaching out a long time ago at this point, so I appreciate that we also were able to make this happen. Because 8th day of the week it also feels kind of serendipitous that it ended up on the 8th day of the month. But it is a really fun game. It has a really interesting concept that really stood out. And I also do appreciate too that you have a Rowlet, which I know that your socials are tall Rowlet, so I appreciate the commitment to the brand.
Very committed.
We'll probably take a tangent on Pokemon here in a bit, but that's neither here nor there. 8th day of the week. So, actually, no. Before we even get into that, You as a TTRPG player, as a TTRPG writer, creator, designer, I mean, a lot of titles kind of get thrown around, and I know people prefer specific ones. But to start from the beginning, how did you end up getting into TTRPGs? Where did that journey begin for you? And then how did that transition into writing and creating TTRPGs?
An excellent question to start, because I know some people like wearing the many hats and some people like their distinct titles. I would say I started as a player, I guess as many people tend to start, in 2020. So I actually have never had an in-person TTRPG experience until like this year, because I kind of immersed myself in every like virtual tabletop around, and like meeting people through Roll20, and then meeting people through Discords that play TTRPGs. And through that, I happened to make a few friends that happen to be like pretty prolific TTRPG indie makers, which who like they gave me their like copies of games to basically read for educational purposes. So I still consider myself a player. I do AP stuff very infrequently, mostly just for my friends, because being physically disabled does unfortunately feel like it puts a barrier to how much I can take on at a time. So I feel like I have very few things to talk about within the span of like 5 years. This game in particular, it's like 23 pages. It took me like a year and a half in total from concept to finish. And that was with a lot of help from my publisher who worked with me. So let's say I'm an AP performer. I'm getting into art, and I mostly for myself, I do writing. Like I did student journalism and game reviews. So initially I was thinking of like reviewing other TTRPGs, but I didn't have time to play them all. So I was like, okay, let's start like with thinking about what makes a solo game tick, because I could take those at my own time, and that's what really inspired me to start there. But yeah, performer, designer, writer are like
Yeah, all
my
starting with the pandemic play, it sounds like in 2020, which is, I
yes.
mean, honestly, it's when the greater like streaming community of TTRPGs really did hit that boom, right? When we all
I
had
agree.
all the
Yeah,
time we were all at home, absolutely, and I think it was a great way of connection as well. But I also really appreciate that it does extend further into that, because I think there is something with solo TTRPGs. I think there's something really beautiful about solo TTRPGs and how TTRPGs can be community based, but also the introspection that's afforded by solo TTRPGs is it's not to be ignored. Uh,
absolutely.
yeah, which I think is a really cool thing about Eighth Day of the Week as well. So, um, I am curious because I've been surprised by the answer before. Do you remember what your first TTRPG was?
God, it was D&D 5e.
I mean, it is for a lot of people,
That
right? I mean,
was
yeah,
it was my first like except like free to play online,
yeah,
experience at that time. It made sense. It's nothing to really be ashamed of just because I like indies so much now. But yeah, that was
right.
my first.
That's the thing. I don't think we'll ever, nor do I particularly want to have anybody from like Wizards of the Coast on this show. It's never been, it's not a goal of mine,
Not
and
about
I also I don't think it's ever going to happen. So it kind of balances out. But at the same time, like yeah, it is where a lot of people start. It is the
yeah,
biggest name out there. It is the draw, and then I think it's the gateway drug, right? That's when you get into,
absolutely.
instead of getting into harder drugs, you get into more niche and emotionally traumatizing
Things
drugs.
that are maybe easier and more specific to you and also more
Yeah.
fun.
Absolutely. You find the things that actually like tell the story you want to tell, not just the
I,
combat simulator.
of course.
Um, okay. So, is Eighth Day of the Week the first TTRPG that you wrote? You said it took you a little while to make. Have you written others?
I have not. So
Okay.
I have what was interesting is that my idea for what I envisioned the game to be did not take very long at all. I pitched the game concept to Wes Franks, who is like the wearer of many hats on Plus One EXP's zine month, as well as like uh, basically a designer, works with the print and trade and sells the games at cons, all that stuff. So I just happen to have that connection with them. And I chose to keep it a zine length because I had enough wisdom from surrounding friends to realize that scope creep would inevitably be the thing that never lets this get off the ground. And I imagine a lot of projects kind of like suffer from like wanting to carry the weight of explaining these grand ideas and condensing them to something to give to people. Obviously, that's everyone's like goal as a designer and a writer, to condense that sort of thing. But I still have like works in progress for things like settings and supplements for other pre-existing games. They're not published. I've plans for like a God Killer setting, for example, but that's going to take me at least 2 years if I'm going to really commit to the scope that I want, which is like I guess it's gargantuan. Like like I'm thinking of a novel also, and I need to figure out like, I already know like in all of my projects the things that stop me from completing them just happen to be like having really big ideas and not tempering them. So my concept for this game, which I guess can tie into a few other questions you may already have, was just a bit of a riff on a joke that some of my previous friends, and I wrote it in the dedication section of this game to a friend of mine who just happened to say like, well, what would I do to get another day of the week hypothetically, like, and if that were to come at the cost of not sleeping for a week, which is physically possible but definitely never recommended, would I do it? And I thought, well, that sounds like it would drive you crazy, for lack of a better term. And in some instances of sleep deprivation induced psychosis, it can. So that made me think like, okay, I can with very clear guardrails for myself construct a way to just make the goal staying awake, even though like the mechanics are not explicitly about that. They're about the cost of staying awake. The implication is that you try your best to stay awake, and you either choose to give up at the end, or you experience grievous consequences for basically harming yourself. So
Yeah,
that's part of the elevator pitch for sure.
that's a really wild concept. I want to go back real quick. I appreciate that, you do make the differentiation between, you still write, but it's not published. I think sometimes the hardest thing about writing isn't getting published. It's just writing. It's just putting stuff down. Yeah, absolutely. That's so going through the activity in the first place, just putting in the time is, I think that's 99.9% the work. And, I respect it. I know that sometimes, we're not academics. We don't have to publish or perish, but
No.
it's one of those things. I really liked the idea of, the extra day. It almost felt like with Eighth Day of the Week, it almost felt like ritualistic magic in a way. The cost to earn something that is otherwise unattainable. And I found it really interesting too, because YouTube has been trying real hard to indoctrinate me into the right. YouTube Reels goes hard right
Oh yeah.
real quick. Yeah, no,
Oh
you show
yeah.
a little bit of interest in video games and TTRPGs, and like, hey, what about Jordan Peterson? And I'm like, no, thank you. But I keep coming across these videos of this guy going, you know what? I've fit 3 days into one day. I work, 8 hours, and then I don't rest. Then I have another day, and like another day starts then, and I work 8 hours. I'm like, dude, that's not how time works. So
No.
it feels like people are trying, like we don't have enough time to do what we need to. I think every adult feels that way. There's not enough hours in the day to do the stuff
Fortunately,
that you
very
need.
relatable.
Yeah. So I found it really interesting and tongue in cheek and also kind of scary a little bit. The concept of what would you sacrifice? What is the risk you would take to get another 24-hour period in your life where you could do just a little bit more?
Yeah.
Yeah, I found that very cool. So okay. You mentioned that this kind of came up from a joke with some friends, and you kind of talked about concepts of sleep deprivation and everything as well. I had
Hmm.
looked up for our conversation the Guinness World Record for longest sleep deprivation, longest time
Hmm.
where a person is going without sleep is 11 days and 7 hours,
Hmm.
which was a guy in 1986. So yeah, it says that, after 24 hours without sleep, you're going to be experiencing some pretty unpleasant things. Even more than 3 days, you're getting hallucinations, psychosis, delusions. So, also having done a number of overnighters in
Oh
college
yeah.
to
Oh
write
yeah.
papers and everything, yeah, I've definitely felt that. So, any other inspirations that kind of came from a joke? Um, is this like personal stuff for you as well? I mean, you said you also were a writer. I have to imagine there's maybe some late nights of writing for you. Any
Yeah.
other inspirations that came to you for making this game?
I think something that can come across very easily in my intro and outro segments of the game is that I've been very interested philosophically in the concept of a moral debt, which ties into sleep debt as a concept that people like throw around in pop psychology actually, and is not exactly what it is. I want to be clear, like you cannot ever truly like undo damage cognitively from uh lacking sleep. Like you can repair it through other means, but rest is just to get you to the baseline. Anyway,
Hmm.
the
Hmm.
concept of debt and what you owe to specifically your body is definitely something that was hugely inspirational to me. I'm not the type of person to necessarily do anything more than a 48-hour uh, binge, which I binge is not the right word, but I think
It's
my
almost like it's the reverse
longest
of a binge. It's like a
it's
purge. Yeah.
it's absolutely I do like I have to remember it was school induced for sure. And my longest
Yeah.
period was 48 hours before I was like, I can't do this anymore. But I interestingly like I almost had the game fully formed from the title because I believe in the indie scene specifically, like the title is really the way to hook people. I have a friend who makes games. His name is Dusty Hill.
Hmm.
Makes a lot of games with really snappy titles like lesbian werewolf crime fighters and trans vampire cowboys. And I'm like, okay, this tells you everything about the game. So uh, I really want that to be like my first like guiding principle to making anything is like the title needs to say something. It like it's not really just about SEO or anything, which I say is like that's fine. That's a good way to like think about how you want to give your game away. But um I was inspired uh I guess specifically by a philosophy class that I took um about ethics and a section that we read in like a biography about Kierkegaard and his thoughts on debt, which is that uh, realistically, if you have the power to give someone something and expect it back from them later, but they recur debt, punishing them is the real reward. It's not necessarily about getting back what you're owed. So I thought, like, okay, this tied in with the concept of sleep debt as a way of like punishing yourself for like not having enough time in the day, realistically, feels like it can be married very well into like a specter, a ghost of like trying to have enough time, essentially. So those come up in the mechanics, the philosophy, I would say, in the game for sure. And I definitely was also inspired by like ritualistic, I guess. And also I'll take a second,
You're good.
because my my research that I was very careful in particular about, because I have a cognitive science background, is about what sleep and lack of sleep does to the brain. And I guess in hindsight, I wish I researched more about the occult and witchy things, because that was also an inspiration that ran through like an undercurrent. But
Hmm.
because I don't come from like a neo-pagan background, I felt like I I would have to like seek a little more help in the future or something. That's
Yeah,
that's that's the gist.
I think that's all really interesting. Because like, whether the intentionality was there or not, and there's so much to like occultism that I think if you did research in that, it probably would have taken you another year to put this
Maybe.
together. And maybe even like haphazardly, you did, kind of subversively put a lot of that into it from what I've read on it, because I find it interesting.
Hmm.
I also work in like my day job is in pediatric psychology. I work
Very
with
nice.
I work with kids every day, and one of the first questions that I ask every single day that I see them is like, "How did you sleep last night?" Because that is such a big question for baseline for our own mental health. One of the things I really loved about Eighth Day of the Week was that sometimes, because I often work like 10-hour days, and there's never enough time in the day when I am waking up every morning and I'm looking at the app that I have to show that how long I slept, and I see that it is under 7 hours. It does feel like this ghostly kind of smoky specter that every single day that it hits, it feels like it weighs, like it's sitting on my shoulders, and it just weighs me down more and more. So like to have that materialized, to have that like formed into mechanics, I found really, really cool.
Uh-huh.
Uh, and also, I didn't want to go without saying two things that I've gone without saying so far. This game, Eighth Day of the Week, is currently available on your. Actually, it's on the page of the company whose name just left my mind. Where I
It's
should ask
all
you,
good.
where can we find it? Yeah, where can we find Eighth Day of the Week?
Yeah, you can find Eighth Day of the Week, digital or physical version, on Plus One EXP's wholesale page. They have a monthly subscription, so the majority of my sales actually came from the month that I released it, which is wonderful. I think that was a great way to get more eyes on it. Um, I think PDF is like $12 and the physical
Yeah,
copy is 22. So
yeah. Yeah, it looks like you can get print and PDF for 22, so pretty good deal with that. And then yeah, digital is 12.
yes,
Um, and yeah, so plus one EXP, and then I didn't want to go because you did mention Dusty Hill. So that's Dusty Duste, not
yes,
Y. And from Dust to Dice is the itch page there where you can find lesbian werewolf crime fighters and trans vampire cowboys
that
and
is correct.
Dracula Owes You Money, which are all great games. So not going to chance to speak with Dusty. Maybe one of these days.
That's
Love to have
awesome.
him on. So okay. For Eighth Day of the Week, we've kind of danced around it a lot. Let's get into the actual gameplay of it. So, when we're talking about Eighth Day of the Week, what kind of game is this? Is this a solo TTRPG? Is this a group TTRPG? How many players? What are we going to need? What's like the baseline to setting up this game?
Hmm. It's pretty simple. Solo journaling TTRPG, which just requires 2d6 and something to write your story. I tend to think of journaling games as things that like could prompt you writing like a short novelization of these sort of things. So I don't know how exactly to best phrase that, but yeah, I through playtesting, it's roughly around 3 to 4 hours because there's no limitation to like how long or short the prompts can get, but there's a slight variation in game length there. It's really short.
Um, well, that also adds to replayability. I always love a game that, again, especially for solo games, I feel like those can be inspiring to actual like creation, or the phrase I always like to use is TTRPGs are not therapy, but they can be therapeutic, and especially
Absolutely.
a game like this, I think lends towards that concept a little bit more. Um, okay, so w- pretty simple setup, solo game, so you don't even need to worry about scheduling. I love
Correct.
that. Just your own scheduling, which maybe plays into the core concept of the game to begin with.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, what does gameplay look like? We've sat down, we got what we need. Where do we start with eighth day of the week?
So there is actually a bit of a character creation that I hesitated to make fully randomized, but I decided like um, I had three thoughts going on at once. One is that I was sort of inspired by Realis. I don't know if you have read through or seen the game, in where basically like your stats are adjectives that you can put into your character and you can change them, either make them more specific, and I may be paraphrasing this a little incorrectly. You can either make them more specific to make them more powerful, or make them uh, more abstract to make them like more widely applicable. It's like how conditions and things in games like City of Mist or Monster Hearts, you can just have them be an adjective that can be as specific or as vague as you want. But I have a list of adjectives and like the types of masochist that you want to be, essentially, to undergo uh, the game, essentially, and you can choose one or more adjectives to see like how specific you can create your character and make it to the end. Um, and at that point afterwards, it is just a little opaque, but you are basically rolling a table for each day. And depending on a roll, you can either like do the prompt or choose a prompt if the option is there. And there are also two different types of days. There's a weird day and a normal day. So depending on how much debt you either already have or what you roll, you can get weird and get normal, and time can also be a little fucky with the potential to either there's options to miss days, there's options to repeat days, and a secret at the end of the book also, for if you're having like a psychosis involved breakdown, is what I'll describe it as, because it's vague on purpose. And then you get to
That's
the end.
Yeah, and yeah, whatever end that's going to be. So okay, so character creation. I'm saying they have two main columns for wrongdoing and punishment, and picking a trait from each column kind of gives that flavor. I like it
Yes.
for the condition. It's how flavorful you want it to be, I guess. But definitely wrongdoing, looking towards the debt, where you have options like worshiping the debt or trading a debt for another. And then for the punishment, you have, I really love the verbiage that you use for this: disciplinarian, flagellant, devout, ascetic. Really, really great.
Oh yeah.
So kind of looking into, like, it's all punishing, right? This is not a game of comfort. This is a game of pushing yourself outside of your comfort zone to attain something.
Mm-hmm.
And in that, I think it absolutely does play into the traditional like hero's adventure in a way, where
Yeah.
is like, it's the thing in the Hobbit. Adventures are not comfortable things. You don't get tea. You have to leave the comforts of home behind, and they're dirty, rough, disgusting things. So looking towards that self-punishment, are you doing it for routine, pain, religion, lifestyle? I think that's really great.
Yeah.
Uh, okay, and then you do also have the hard mode that I've seen included here as well to ramp up the difficulty of the game, just in case you really want to be sadistic about it
Hmm.
or masochistic about it. Um, Okay, so we put together a character, and then you have the days structured out.
Hmm.
So again, how does gameplay typically look? This is a dice system, so we're
Yes.
using what dice we're using for this?
1d6 is, sorry, I think previously I said 2d6. 1d6 is the only thing that's mandatory because you're rolling on tables of six,
Hmm.
six or less. So um, you basically approach the day. Well, you start with, because the trick is that for your first 24 hours, nothing unusual is actually happening because you're just living your life. So you start your first day by figuring out your motivations, which you can choose a roll for. And then after that is just a matter of um, rolling to self narrate your day and or switch from a normal day to a surreal day. So there is like a version of a day that has more surreal elements and choices. Um, and most of the times, which I made deliberate, and I was thinking like now that it's published, I'm thinking back like I should have given more options to go back and forth or whatever. But once you're in the surreal zone, it's very hard to leave, but it's very easy to get into. Um, if you're trying to make it with as little sleep debt as possible, which the type of debt that you accumulate over time is unclear. It is labeled as a debt, and you get to midway through create your debtor, or like what type of debt uh, is weighing on your body, mind, and soul. So um, which you roll for as well. But if you have adjectives, you can choose, like, depending on your adjectives, you can choose like more clarifying questions about like, is this actually about, uh, and let me pull up an example because that one probably was the most complex day, but like a karmic debt, for example, poses the question for, if you believe in karma, like why would you be why would you be punishing yourself in this way? And if you're anxious or humming, which is I think one of the weirder adjectives that I put, it feels like it doesn't fit, but I wanted to give like a big breadth of types of people that are
Yeah,
masochists, you know?
yeah, absolutely, yeah.
Um, like the type of masochist that actually maybe enjoys the pain a little bit. Like if you're anxious, you might consider yourself to be purely lucky or unlucky. And this karma is about affirming that belief or like maladaptively reinforcing it, that sort of thing. Um, and then after day 3, it gets a little more witchy, occult, surreal in the overall sense, where you're just like choosing from tables of 6, rolling on the table, and then following the prompts for the most part does just mean you're writing what happens to your day, and you're probably adding some sleep debt. Sometimes you have to go back or forward in time. If you if you roll sixes, which I put as a sort of uh, lucky number,
Hmm.
and if you have a lot of debt, then it'll matter more so in the end. But yeah, I feel like I got to the core of the question
Yeah, no,
already.
absolutely, absolutely. Okay. After all that, I have a lot of questions. I'm not sure I'm going to get to address all of them, and maybe
Okay.
one suggestion, which is If you ever want to consider a subtitle to this game, eighth day of the week, colon, I would maybe make it eighth day of the week, colon, who hurt you? I think that's really great. This absolutely is a game of like, I really want to delve into some self and some intentional questionable self actions here
Yeah.
in a safe way. I think that's the beautiful thing about TTRPGs.
Hmm.
So, okay, so we're playing through the days. Based off of the single D6. Again, this is such a streamlined game, and it is such a great game to just jump into. I think it's one of those that really can scratch that TTRPG itch,
Hmm.
especially if folks are like, the group couldn't get together this week. I really want to delve into some internalized stuff. I want to explore some core concepts. I think this is a really great game just to literally pull out the print form, the PDF form, and just roll through. Again, you said it takes a few hours. Yeah, I mean, I think it's really great for that. So we play through the days. You do have the mechanics kind of built into every single option, whether you're gaining rerolls, you're gaining debts. You have the surreal tables. Again, I really like the concept of surrealism is easy to get into and hard to get out of. I feel like
Yes.
that's very fitting. One of the things that really stood out to me is that the game starts out so mundane that on day one you have how does it begin? Are you having like, is there a long project you have at work that you're going to focus on? Are you just challenging yourself? Is it just like, I want to break my personal record? Everything about it is so mundane, and then like you were saying, gets steadily more and more into the ritualistic or even chaos magic of it, or as somebody mentioned in chat, the alchemical aspect of it,
Yeah.
the equivalent debt concept as well. And I really just want to shout that out because that is at the very center of it. It feels like that's the core driving like motor of the entire
Absolutely.
game. That the sleep is, yeah, sleep is absolutely part of it, but at the end it is, what are you willing to sacrifice? And I think that's really cool. So when we get towards the end, we've gotten through a number of days, and then day 8, I really want to shout out your layout designer for this, which is Luna P. Is that
Luna
correct?
P,
Yeah.
correct.
Yeah, and you have Strega Wolf as your cover artist, which also
Hmm.
is really phenomenal. But the layout is just so great because it's set up like, I guess like a early, what, 90s computer sort of. You have like
Uh-huh.
the pop-up windows, and the text is very indicative as well. The little like pointer arrows, and everything feels like early Mac or early Windows, 90s Windows. Uh, but yeah, eighth day, the specter of debt is looming. How can this game finalize for somebody? What are they kind of looking towards as they get to the end?
So I think I let the actual options, because there is a table of 6 options that you can get, um, in which you either have a confrontation with your debtor, or in one instance you don't, if you're not lucky. But you do actually use your debt in the most mechanically concrete way to describe, like, give adjectives to your debtor, which I think lets that whole dynamic of the debt being maybe less important than who's hounding you for this sort of thing kind of play out, because there are like some mean adjectives. Like, if you have more debt, it'll be like your debtor is actually out to get you, like they're a zealot, they're sadistic, they are greedy, they hoard opulence, or if you don't actually rack up a lot of debt, which through playtesting I found like 4 was a fine number to reward good play, which obviously that's not what the game is about exactly, but I found that 4 was the good number, and it's also a lucky number. If you get less than 4, then you have a debtor who might pity you, a debtor who's uh, more practical or even lazy, to maybe like color your last encounter to maybe be more, I guess the word I'm looking for is compassionate. So that even if you do roll high and you get like a nightmare, for example, you can use the adjective to try and glean like a silver lining of it. Because like technically you didn't rack up debt, which is the good thing that you're supposed to do. But if you roll bad at the end, or if you have an option that forces you to roll bad, there is one option that forces you to roll bad, then you will ultimately just like find that the cost may not be worth it, or you get a job for like keeping score of bodies, which is one of my favorite phrases when it comes to this concept of the body remembering these sorts of things in terms of harming herself or not. So there's a 50-50 chance if you roll that table that you'll get something good or neutral, and a 50-50 chance that it doesn't go well. But there is also an option right before that to give up. So I made the choice pretty simple in that, like, if you grow an attachment to your character, or the masochism gets to be like a bit much, then you can at the end of your 7th day, if you're doing bad, you can, if you roll and you have the debt for it, you can go to sleep and it'll be like, this might have been a dream or something like that. But I didn't mean to say but. That was the end of the answer.
You're good. No, that's great. Yeah, so I think at the core of this game, one of the last pages in the PDF kind of describes, what you're getting into. One player journalizing game, 3 to 4 hours of playtime, and then the 2 core concepts of the game. Can you stay awake long enough to unlock the 8th day of the week, and why would you? And then I think the secret question is, what is the cost? Like, what are you risking? So I really love that is, if you can answer those questions throughout the game, what does that mean? What does that mean for a character? What does that mean for you? Are you exploring your own journey with sleep with this? Are you using this game as a tie-in? And that's one of my favorite things about solo games and solo TTRPGs, journaling games. Are you tying this into another TTRPG character to try to flesh out their story more, or a character that you're writing about? Are you writing about a character that has struggled with sleep? I think these games can be so inspiring, just as like a bottom line, and then beyond that are so like invigorating or self-educating. I think it's great. Now, for folks who might be playing 8th day of the week for the first time, getting the physical copy, the digital copy, and playing through this, what's one piece of advice you would offer to them?
That is actually a very interesting question. With this being my first game, I happen to get a lot of feedback post-publishing that this is a type of game that's very good for people who are already into TTRPGs. And if you're not, then some of the instructions might actually be a little opaque to the detriment of the player. So there is a plain text version for any layout difficulties or like reading difficulties that I do, and this was on my list of things to do this year, just like add an abridged rules section to state like, here is everything that you need to do. My actual only material piece of advice I could give is just to get the plain text, because the layout, which is wonderful and I think really tonally fits, can get a little in the way of maybe you trying to chronologically progress, which I like for the creative intention of trying to push yourself through. But it can be difficult, and I can admit that as a first timer reader, to see that and maybe be a little intimidated. I do think there are games, because there are also other TTRPGs that inspired this one that I would actually maybe recommend reading first. If I could shout them out, but I don't have their designers like on the top of my mind right now. There is a game called Seven Day Spiral, which aesthetically and mechanically was hugely inspirational. It's a very simple, quick and dirty game. It's also a solo journaling game. Thank you so much. That I think has the gameplay loop to be much with much less frills, I think. So if you want, you don't have to necessarily play it to play this, but if you want to read that before playing this, I think as a first timer, that would help you. And like an actual like emotional piece of advice is that this is like a game for masochists. I have a really hard time describing it as a game to play for fun, which makes it hard to introduce other people. And I think that's fine. Like, I think the actual first question to get into before playing a game like this is, am I trying to have fun or am I trying to exercise some kind of demon? Which is also, of course, very therapeutic and useful. But, you know, having that intention before playing the game is kind of necessary.
Absolutely. I think that's great advice. And, you know, something I will say to the forethought that you had, the foresight that you had, having gotten the PDF version, it does come with the plain text. So I think that the PDF is gorgeous. I think that the design of it is very fun. It is very indicative of what you're getting into. The very concept of excessive pop-ups layering on top of each other, almost like
yeah.
the weight of the specter itself, the weight of sleep, just like all of these things you can't get rid of. The little like pixel bursts that are on some pages. It's great. It's very great. But I also understand that, you know, everybody experiences media differently, and if you are looking for plain text, it is provided, and will not take away at all from your enjoyment of this game.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I again, Nana, I really appreciate you joining us. I really appreciate you sharing Eighth Day of the Week with us. Before we start wrapping up here, is there anything that I might have missed about this game, or anything else that you might want to spotlight about it?
Anything to spotlight? I do think we covered everything that's come up organically as things that I've wanted to say. So I'll take 1 second and make sure.
Please.
No. I think this is perfect. Yeah.
Fantastic. Well, if you watching this are watching this now and you don't have any questions, but a question comes up later, or if you're watching this later on our YouTube and you can't post something live, feel free to head over to the Sword and Key Discord. I'll talk about that here more in a minute, but we do have a channel dedicated to Sword and Tea. If you have a question to Nada or about Eighth Day of the Week, and or feel free to post that there. I will make sure that it gets answered as quickly and accurately as possible. So no, thank you again so much. For folks who want to find more of you and the wonderful work that you do, where can they do that?
Everyone who wants to find me can find me just on Blue Sky for now at Tall Rowlet. That's my ultimate brand. And I'm just in the midst of I'm a cast member of an AP that's releasing, but otherwise I do work very infrequently, and that's not what I post about. I primarily post about annoying leftist politics. So um, that's where you can find me
Nobody
for
here
that.
minds that. Yeah, we
Yes,
fully
of
encourage you.
course.
Please do more. Uh, that's awesome. So, are you able to talk about the AP right now?
Yeah, it is currently midway through. It's like yeah, it's more than halfway through out right now. It is under Tender Vicious Studios, which is a studio spearheaded by Hamna Shahid with the game that we made. And this AP is also spearheading the launch of that game. The game is called The Home We Remember. The AP is called Laurie's House. And it is basically about reliving memories centering around a tragedy. And the tragedy of this home and this house is about uh, not really a spoiler, the house burning,
Mhm.
um, and how we can, if there was a way to save it, could we? And if not, then what's the point? It's also like
And Laurie's house in
theme that I
particular
have
is,
is like I like high concept cerebral games, shows, concepts as well. So this is one of those sort of introspective, cerebral, slow shows, which is also a little hard to recommend. But if you like any of the work that Hamna does, then I would highly recommend that too.
Fantastic. So definitely check out Nana on socials and on I'm sorry, it was Tender Vicious
Studios.
Studios for that AP.
Perfect.
And then check out Eighth Day of the Week. Again, you can get your own copy right now. It is at +1 EXP, which you can head to their website, or if you just type in to your search engine Eighth Day of the Week TTRPG, it's going to be the first thing that comes up. Get a copy of that. I know we've mentioned a couple other TTRPGs and TTRPG writers in this. Always encourage y'all to check out any TTRPG, any indie TTRPGs and writers out there. So 7 Day Spiral is made by Remington Chase, and yeah, we talked about Dusty Hill earlier as well. So always want to encourage the people that do the hard work, that make the TTRPGs that we all enjoy. Those are the folks that need support. I mean, I will say now more than ever, but I will always be saying now more than ever because that just feels like a trend at this point. So
Always now. Yeah.
it's always now. So yeah, don't wait. Get your own copy of Eighth Day of the Week. Bring it to your own personal table. Share it with a friend. Give it as a gift. We're coming up on the holidays. If you have a friend where you're like, man, you need sleep, this might be
Be a really
kinder
funny gift.
a really, yeah, maybe not a kinder way of saying it, a funny way of saying it. Let them explore their own journey on that, or do it for yourself. Thank you again to Nada. I am Derek Sword. I've been your host for this Sword and Tea, use he, him pronouns. I am the sword half of Sword and Key, and Sword is my last name. Yes, it's awesome. No, you can't have it.
Awesome.
Again, if you have any questions at all, please head over to the Sword and Key Discord. That link and all of our links can be found at beacons.ai/Sword and Key. Right up at the top is our Twitch. If you're watching this live, give us a follow if you don't mind. It's always appreciated, never required, but it helps you see more of the wonderful stuff we do around here. If you scroll down more than that, you can see those socials. That's Instagram, Blue Sky, and again, that Twitter, or sorry, the Discord link. We don't use Twitter anymore. The Discord link. So if you are heading over to any of those, you can see our application for Invisible Sun campaign run by Mare, Archmage of Dice. Invisible Sun's a very, very fun game. The application is only open for a couple more hours, so don't wait. If you've ever want to play in a game of Invisible Sun or in a game on this channel, or if that Venn diagram is a circle, check it out. Don't wait. For more Sword and Key stuff, you can find all of our charitable organization links listed on our beacons as well. We have a number that I'll talk about when we get to our calendar, but our evergreen ones are Palestine Children's Relief Fund and Canine Campaigns for Independence. We also have links to some of our discount codes and our affiliates, like Long Dog Dice, Jen at Long Dog Dice makes incredible dice sets like these. These are the official Sword and Key dice with our logo on them. This D6 is from the Horizons Call set. My lighting does not do them justice, but they are a very vibrant shade of blue with little flakes of copper in them. There are also the Horizons Call dice sets for the rest of the cast that are all available for pre-order right now, as well as tons of other dice sets for your perfect character. And Jen also has, application now. Form. There's a form to fill out if you would like to have a custom dice set made. Regardless of what you're getting, use code Sword and Key for 10% off your first purchase. We are also affiliates with Eldritch Foundry. They make custom minis. No matter how weird and wild, normal and mild your TTRPG character might be, you can make a custom mini of them. They're really cool bases. They've added a bunch of pirate stuff recently, a bunch of undead stuff for the Halloween season that's now up there permanently. They add new stuff every week. They have thousands of options, and you can use code Sword and Key for 10% off your first purchase, as well as if you are a 3D printing inclined individual, use our affiliate link if you're going to be doing any 3D printing. You can get a 3-month subscription for $19.99 with our code and link. We are also affiliates with Hit Point Press. They make lots of stuff. I mean, you know the stuff they make. You see them around all the time. They have the Heckna books. They have, again, Griffin Saddlebags, animated spell cards, Humblewood, all the Humblewood stuff. They recently just backed their Kickstarter for their new TTRPG system, Shift. So all that and more. Shift, currently not published yet. The Kickstarter just got backed. But all of that can be found on Hit Point Press's website. Use our affiliate link if you're going to be purchasing from them, please. And then let's head over to our calendar real quick here. Later today at 3 p.m. Pacific time, so in just about 4 hours, we will be back with Horizons Call. That is our multi-year ongoing nautical campaign. The party have just gotten into a haunted pirate ship. So what could go wrong? Sunken haunted pirate ship, just to add an extra adjective to that. So 3 p.m. Pacific time for that. That game has shifted to raising money for food kitchens and supplies in the U.S. So that game no longer is using Pally, at least for the time being. We are moving to a charity-based structure, philanthropy-based structure for that game. So we still have the same incentives built into it, plus some other fun ones that I'll talk about here later with that game. So don't miss that. Tomorrow, we have the next episode of Monster Crush. Monster Crush is a podcast to do with my friend LD. You can find all the links to that, again, on the beacons. It is a podcast about cryptids, creatures, miscellaneous monsters from myth and how smoochable they are. So check that out wherever podcasts are found. It is a bi-weekly, bisexual, pan-teratophilic podcast about monster love. So if you love cryptids and all the things that go bump in the night, we talk about how they bump. On Monday at 11 a.m. Pacific time, we have the next episode of Summer in Carcosa. That is our Monster Hearts 2 game that is raising money for Trans Lifeline. And then on Tuesday at 7 p.m. Pacific time, we have the next episode of Gate Nights, where Shadow LD and I play Baldur's Gate 3, currently the only video game streamed here on Sword and Key. On the 13th, that is Thursday at 4 p.m. Pacific time, it's the next episode of Zenith 3000 Z3K. It is a fantastic cyberpunk fantasy game that is raising money for Doctors Without Borders. On Friday is our next Sword and Key movie night. Those are free. Those are on our Discord. All you got to do is just be around. We are doing our next Ghibli movie watch with The Tale of Princess Kaguya. And then next Sunday, taking this Sunday off, but coming back next Sunday, is our Nightmares in the Frontier game, which is our Wild West Eldritch Horror fantasy game that I play in, not run. That's 2 p.m. Pacific time on Sundays, and that is raising money for World Central Kitchen. A lot of charities. I don't mind. I love them all. Keeping them straight, sometimes tough, but I think I got it that time. So all that and more, again, check out our Discord. It has our Google Calendar listed there if you want to be extra about it. Otherwise, you can see all of our events listed there. And yeah, just check us out on our socials. Again, don't forget to apply to that casting call for Invisible Sun if you ever want to play in a game of that. I believe that is it for us today. We are going to be rating Valdranth, who actually typically runs our Nightmares of the Frontier game, but is doing an Extra Life campaign this weekend. So go over there, spread some positivity, spread some love. Be kind to yourself, be kind to others. Get some sleep, or don't. I don't know. I'm not your dad. But regardless, we hope to see you sooner rather than later. And until then, take care. Bye.
Bye.